Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to solve Cambridge International AS and A-Level Mathematics Paper 1 Pure Mathematics 1 in a session October-November 2023 Paper 1-1. So let's start with the first question. Question number 1 part A, expand this binomial expression in ascending powers of x up to and including the term in x square. Means we need to expand it till x square, right? So let me do the expanding 1 plus 3x to the power 6. It means 1 to the power 6 plus 6c1, 1 to the power 5, 3x to the power 1 plus 6c2, 1 to the power 4, 3x to the power 2, and so on. So we need to expand in ascending powers of x, means in increasing powers of x to the power 0, x to the power 1, x to the power 2, up to and including the term of x squared. So this is your x squared term till this point, right? Okay, now this implies 1 to the power 6 is 1. What is 6c1? 6c1 is 6. 1 to the power 5 is 1. We have 3x. 6c2 is 15. 1 to the power 4 is 1. 3 square is 9 and x square. And this becomes 1. And 6 times 3 is 18x. 1 plus 18x. And 15 times 9 is 135x square. So this is a final answer. All right. Now for part B, hence find the coefficient of x squared in the expansion of this. All right. As we know, I expand the first three term of this expression, okay, using this answer. So we can say 1 minus 7x plus x squared. This is multiplying with 1 plus 18x plus 135x squared. We just need to pick the coefficient of x squared. It means we need to pick the x squared terms, right? So x squared terms, let me work on x squared term. So this is 1, it's become 1 x and x squared term. So means 1 is multiplying with 135x squared. This is your x squared term. This is minus 7x. This is x term. This is x squared term. Minus 7x is multiplying with 18x. You will get x squared term. And now x cubed term. X squared with 1 is your x squared term. This is x cubed term, x4 term, right? So these are the x cubed square terms, right? So this is 135 x squared. And what is 7 times 18? 126, negative 126 x squared and plus 1 x squared. Okay, so simplify 135 minus 126 plus 1 is 10x squared. Okay, now we have to just figure out the coefficient of x squared. We can say the coefficient of x squared coefficient is 10. So 10 is the coefficient of x squared. Question number 2. A line has equation and a curve has equation where c is a constant. Show all necessary working and determine which of the following statement is correct. The statement A is the line and curve intersect only for a particular set of values of c. Statement B, the line and curve intersect for all values of c. Statement C, the line and curve do not intersect for any values of c. Okay, so basically we need to find the point of intersection of the line and the curve, right? So, and we have to check the discriminant, right? If the discriminant is greater than 0, it means it intersect for all values of c. If the discriminant is less than 0, it do not intersect for any value of c. And if the discriminant is equals to 0, it means it intersect only for the particular set of values of c. Let's see and check the discriminant. Okay, so we have the line Equation of line is y equals to 2cx plus 3, and the equation of the curve we have given is y equals to cx square plus 3x minus c. Okay, we need to compare y values, these two y's, right? Okay, so here we can say cx square plus 3x minus c would be equals to 2cx plus 3. Shift all the terms to the left side. So cx square plus 3x minus c minus 2cx minus 3 equals to 0. So the x square coefficient is c. The x terms are 3 minus 2c is a coefficient for x, and the constants are negative with c plus 3. Negative c and negative 3, these are the constants, right? Now we need to figure out the discriminant. Now this is a quadratic equation. A is a coefficient of x square, b is the coefficient of x, which is 3 minus 2c, and c is the constant term, which is minus c minus 3. Okay, now we need to figure out, check the discriminant. What is the value for the discriminant? So here we can say b square minus 4ac. Okay, let me solve the discriminant. B square is 3 minus 2c square minus 4 times the a value c, and the c value is minus c minus 3. Okay, so 3 square is 9 minus 2 into 3 into 2c. 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 2 is 12, right? So it is negative 12c, and plus 2c whole square is 4c square. Minus 4c is multiplying with minus c and minus 3. 9 minus 12c plus 4c, minus times minus is plus 4c square and plus 12c, right? Okay, now this minus 12c and plus 12c is cancelled out. We are left with 4c square plus 4c plus 9. Okay, sorry, this is square, so this is also squared, so we are left with 8c square plus 9. Now this is the discriminant, right? So as you can see, when you have the value of c 0, positive, negative, this whole expression is always greater than 0. Whether the c value is 0, c value is positive, c value is negative, because c is squared and multiplying with 8 and add up with 9, this expression is always positive. So we can say, since b square minus 4ac, which is equals to 8c square plus 9, is greater than 0 for all values of c. If it is positive for all values of c, so which statement is correct? The line and the curve intersect for all values of c. So the statement B is correct. Statement B is correct. Line and curve intersect for all values of c. Right. Question number 3. The diagram shows a cubical closed container. It is a closed container and the shape is cubical, made of a thin elastic material which is filled with the water and frozen. It is filled with water and it's frozen. Water is frozen. During the freezing process, the length x centimeter of each edge of a container increase at a constant rate of 0.01 centimeter per minute. It means x increased with respect to time at a rate. So the derivative of x with respect to time is this. So we have given that dx over dt is 0.01. Okay, the volume of a container at t minutes is v. Okay, find the rate of increase of v. We need to find dv over dt when x is equals to 20. Okay, so it is a cubical container. So we need to figure out the volume of a cuboid, right? So as we know that volume of cube is, which is equals to a cube, or we can say side cube. So each side length is x and x in this case. So we can say we have x cube, right? So volume is a function for x. So what is dv over dx? The derivative of volume with respect to x is 3x square. Okay. So we have dv over dx, dx over dt. We need to solve dv over dt. Now let me apply the chain rule over here. So according to the chain rule, we can say dv over dt we need to figure out, which is equals to dv over dx multiply dx over dt. Okay, so all dv over dx is given, which is this, and dx over dt is also given, right? Now we need to figure out what is dv over dx at x is equals to 20. When x is 20, 3 into 20 square. So we can say 3 into 20 square is 1200. All right. Now put the values over here. So the dv over dt, this becomes 1200, multiply it with 0.01. So the final answer is, multiplying 0.01 is 12. So dv over dt, the rate of increase of volume is 12. This is the final answer. Question number 4. The transformation R denotes a reflection in x-axis. Reflection in x-axis, and the transformation T denotes the translation of 3, -1. Okay. Part A. Find the equation y equals to g of x of the curve with the function with the equation y equals to x square after it has been transformed by the sequence of transformations r followed by t. So this is r and this is t. So in y equals to x square, first we have to apply the transformation r, which is a reflection in x-axis, and then we have to apply the transformation t, which is a translation of 3 and -1. Okay, so we have given the base function, which is y equals to x square. So the first transformation we have to apply is the transformation r, which is a reflection in x-axis. So when we do the reflection in x-axis, the whole function is subtracted. So this is y equals to minus x square. The second transformation is we have a translation. Translation 3 units. 3 is the horizontal translation, so 3 units right and 1 unit down. Okay, 3 is a horizontal translation, so it moves right or left, and 1 is a vertical translation, up or down, so 1 down. Okay, so with this y equals to negative, so we have a translation. First thing, we have x minus 3 whole square and then minus 1. Okay, so in minus x square, in x just subtract this 3, the x subtract the horizontal translation, and then the vertical translation is with the whole functions, which is -1. So this is the equation of g of x, we can say. This is your final answer. This is a function g of x. Now for part B, find the equation y equals to h of x of the curve with the equation y equals to x square after it has been transformed by the sequence of transformation t followed by r. Means first we apply the t and then we apply r. T means first we do the translation and then we do the reflection. Okay, let me write down the base function, which is y equals to x square. The first thing is a translation. Translation 3 units right, and 1 unit down. Let's do it. Okay, so y is equals to x minus 3 whole square. With the x value, just horizontal translation is always subtracted with x value, and the vertical translation is outside the function, right? Okay, now the second transformation is a reflection in x-axis. So when we do the reflection in x-axis, y is equals to negative of this whole function, x minus 3 whole square minus 1. So this becomes y is equals to minus of x minus 3 whole square, and minus minus becomes plus 1. This is your function h of x. And this is your function g of x. Okay. All right. Now for part C, state fully the transformation that maps the curve y equals to g of x onto the curve y equals to h of x. Okay, so here we have g of x and here we have h of x. Let me write down both curves. So g of x is minus x minus 3 whole square minus 1, and h of x is minus x minus 3 whole square plus 1. Okay. Now let me plot both of them, right? Let me graph it out, the both equations. And then we can check which transformation we have to apply on g of x to get h of x. Okay, so first thing is this is a quadratic equation in vertex form. So what is its vertex? Its vertex is 3 and minus 1, and this its vertex is 3 and 1. Okay, and x square coefficient is negative in both cases. It means the opening of the parabola is downward. So first let me plot g of x, 3 minus 1. The x value is 3, the y value is minus 1, let's say over here. And this is how the curve look like. This point is 3 and minus 1. Okay, now for this, again the opening of the parabola is downward. The vertex is 3 and 1. Okay, so x value is 3 and the y value is 1. Okay, so again the same thing, x value is 3 over here. This is the 3. If we can say the y is minus 1 over here, then y should be 1 over here. So this point, right? And the opening is again downward. This is 3 and 1. So how this g of x transformed to this h of x? Okay, you guys can see both the graphs are same, right? So now when we move g of x 1 and 2 unit up, then you will get the graph of h of x, right? So state fully the transformation that maps g of x to h of x. G of x moves 2 unit up. So there is a translation, vertical translation 2 units up. So the transformation is a translation. There is no horizontal translation. The vertical translation is 2 units up. So when you translate 2 units up, g of x map onto h of x. So this is a transformation which map g of x to h of x. I hope this is clear now. Question number 5, part A. Show that the equation may be expressed in the form where a, b, and c are integers to be found. Okay. Tangent, sine, and sine. Sine, tangent, tangent. So we need to convert it into cos, everything. So 4 sine x plus 5, 1 over sine, 1 over tangent is cot x, plus 2 over sine x is equals to 0. Because 1 over tangent, the reciprocal of tangent is cot, and we know that the cot x is cos over sine. So 5 cos x over sine x plus 2 over sine x, that is equals to 0. Okay, Now simplify. So 4 sine is multiplying sine square x plus 5 cos x plus 2 divides sine x would be equals to 0. Okay. So 4 sine square, we can write this down as 1 minus cos square x plus 5 cos x plus 2 cross multiply. 0 is multiplying with sine x. Okay. This is 4 minus 4 cos square x plus 5 cos x plus 2 equals to 0. Or we can say minus cos square x plus 5 cos x and plus 6, because 4 plus 2 is 6 equals to 0. Or we can take a negative sign common. So we have 4 cos square x minus 5 cos x minus 6 would be equals to 0. When you take a negative sign common, this is positive, this is negative, and this becomes negative. So now this is in the form of a cos square x plus b cos x plus c equals to 0, where a, b, and c are integers, which are 4, minus 5, and minus 6. These are integers. All right. Now for part B, hence solve the equation for 0 to 360 degree. Means use this expression and solve it. So it is a quadratic equation. We can easily factorize this. 4 cos square x minus 5 cos x minus 6 equals to 0. Okay, we can easily factorize this. 4 times minus 6 is 24 minus 24. Okay, now we need to find out the factors of 24. When you add them or subtract them, you will get the answer negative 5. Okay, so we can say 3 times 8 is 24. And if you do 3 take away 8, we have minus 5. Yes. So break the midterm. We have 4 cos square x plus 3 cos x minus 8 cos x minus 6 equals to 0. You can take cos x common. You are left with 4 cos x plus 3. Now you can take a negative sign common, and I guess 2 is common, because 2 times 2 is 4 and cos x, and 2 times 3 gives you 6. Okay. The factors are 4 cos x plus 3 and cos x minus 2 equals to 0. Now put both factors separately equals to 0. So we can say 4 cos x plus 3 is equals to 0, or we can say cos x minus 2 would be equals to 0. From here 4 cos x would be equals to negative 3, and cos x is equals to negative 3 by 4. And from here cos x is equals to 2. So from here we have no solution. Why we have no solution? Because the range of cos is between 1 and minus 1, but this is 2. Or you can also double check. This is in radians. Let me convert it into degree mode, because we have given the x ranges in degree. So cos inverse of 2, no solution, right? So we will get solution only from this case, and this equation says cos is negative. So the equation we have is cos x is equals to negative 3 by 4. So the first step is to find out the base angle. So base angle is the angle which we have to find without using the signs. So x would be equals to cos inverse of 3 by 4. Okay, cos inverse 3 divided by 4 is 41.41. X is 41.41 degrees. Okay, now let me draw the coordinate diagram and check cosine is negative in which quadrant from 0 to 360 degree. Okay. Now in the first quadrant, all trigonometric ratios are positive, sine positive, tangent is positive, and cos is positive. Here we do the base angle. 180 degree minus the base angle, 180 degree plus the base angle, and 360 degree minus the base angle. Now here the cosine is negative. Cosine is negative in which quadrant? In second and third quadrant, according to the whole domain from 0 to 360, right? So we can say that cos is negative in second quadrant and third quadrant. Second quadrant and third quadrant. So what is the value for x? X value is 180 degree minus this base angle, which is 41.41. So here we do 180 minus 41.41, which is 138.59, or round it to x is 138.6 degrees. And for the third quadrant, 180 plus the base angle. X value is 180 degree plus the base angle, which is 41.41. So 180 plus 41.41, which is 221.41. So x is 221.4 degrees. So these are the two desired solutions from 0 to 360 degree. Question number 6. The diagram shows a motif formed by the major sector arc AB. AB is the major arc of a circle with a radius r and the center is O. Alright, so the radius center of that arc is O and the radius is r. Okay, it means O to A is r, O to B is also r, and this is a major sector. And the minor sector AOB of a circle AOB, this is a minor arc of a circle, also with the radius r, but with the center C. C is the center of that arc. Okay, right. The point C lies on the circle with the center O. C lies on the center and its center is O. C lies on the circle, the center is O. It means O to C is also equals to R. Okay, and this is the sector, this is also equals to R. O to A is R, O to B is R, right? And A to C is R, C to B is R, and OC is also R, right? Part A, given that the angle ACB is K radians, state the value of the fraction K. A, C, and B, this angle we need to figure out, okay? ACB, okay. A, C, and B, this angle we need to measure. So if we look at this triangle AOC, all the three sides are R. So when the three sides of a triangle are same, that triangle is equilateral triangle. If the three sides are same, three angles must be same. All three angles should be 60 degree, or in terms of radian, this angle should be pi by 3. This angle is pi by 3. This angle is pi by 3. Same is the case for the triangle O, B, and C. This is also equilateral triangle. All the three angles are pi by 3. Right. So here we can say triangle OCA and triangle OCB are equilateral triangles. All the three sides are same, all the three angles are same. This implies we have the angle in the triangle ACO. Angle ACO is pi by 3, and angle OCB, OC and B is also pi by 3. And when you add them up, this implies the angle ACB ACB is a sum of pi by 3 plus pi by 3. This would be equals to 2 pi by 3 radians. So what is the value for K? ACB should be K pi radians. So K value is pi by 3. So k should be pi by 3 in terms of fraction. I hope this is clear now. Moving to part B, state the parameter of the shaded motif in terms of pi and r, the shaded parameter only. Okay, so in order to find out its parameter, so you guys can see for parameter we need this arc length AB for the major sector of a circle and this arc length. This would be the parameter, right? So if I can draw this major sector, so let me draw this one first. The center would be O, A, and then B. This is over here. This point is A, and this point is B. Okay. This point is O, this is A, and this is B. So the parameter means we have to find the arc length of this major sector O, A, and B. So arc length is radius times theta. This arc length is radius we know is r, and what is the theta value over here? So as you can see, this value is, this is 2 pi by 3, this is also 2 pi by 3. So if this angle is 2 pi by 3, 2 pi over 3, so what is that angle? This angle is from 2 pi subtract 2 pi by 3, because the whole circle is 2 pi. So 2 pi minus 2 pi by 3, this would be 2 pi minus 2 pi by 3 would be 4 pi by 3. So that angle is 4 pi by 3. So we can write this down as 4 pi over 3. Okay. So the angle is, radius is r and theta is 4 pi by 3. So here we can say for parameter arc length of major arc AB, which is radius times theta. So this implies radius is r and the theta is 4 pi by 3. So this would be 4 pi by 3 r. Okay, now we have done with this. Okay, now we need to figure out what is that. Okay, let me draw that separately. All right, so this is C. If we can say this point is C, B to C. So this point is A, this point is C, and this point is B. We know that this angle is 2 pi by 3 for this sector, because we need this as well, because the parameter is sum of all sides which include the shaded a part of the diagram. So this side include the shaded part and this side include the shaded part. So this side is radius times theta, include considering this bigger arc. Now for the smaller arc we have to consider C would be the center for this, and the radius is again r, so we can so say the radius times theta. Length of the minor arc length of minor arc AB is again radius times theta. The radius is r, the theta is 2 pi by 3. Okay, so this is 2 pi by 3 r. Okay, this implies, let me solve for the parameter. So the parameter is sum of all sides which are shaded shape sides, which is 4 pi by 3 r plus 2 pi by 3 r. Okay, this would be 4 plus 2 would be 6 pi over 3 r. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6. So the final answer is 2 pi r. That is the parameter. So parameter is 2 pi r. All right. Now for part C, find the area of the shaded motif. Give your answer in terms of pi, r, and root 3. Area. So for area of this shaded motif, it means we need to figure out the area of the major sector O, A, B, and subtract this area. because this is not shaded, right? So how can we figure out this area? So we can name it as a segment, right? This is some segment. So as you can see, these two triangles are symmetrical, right? They have same sides, same angles. So these four sides are also symmetrical, right? So if I figure out the side area for this segment, then the area of rest of the segments are same. Okay. So the area for this segment is, if we consider this triangle A, C, and O, this make a sector, right? So area for this sector, subtract area of a triangle, you will get area of that segment. Okay. So first let me figure out the area, shaded area. Let me write this down. Shaded area of major sector OAB, right? So first we need to find the area of a major sector O, A, and B, and then subtract the area of a, subtract area of this segment, area of this segment, subtract area of 2 times area of segment, right? Subtract 2 times area of segment. All right. So first thing we need to figure out what is area of a sector. Area of major sector. Half radius square theta. This is a formula. Radius is r. What is the theta value for this? 4 pi by 3. We have done this. So half r square and 4 pi over 3. Okay. So when I simplify, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So this becomes 2 over 3 pi r square. Okay. Now, the next thing is to figure out what is the area of a segment. Area of segment, I name this as a segment, right? This red one. This is a segment. So area of this segment is basically, we need to figure out area of a sector ACO, area of this sector, and subtract area of this triangle. You will get the segment area, right? Area of a segment is area of sector ACO, subtract area of triangle AC and O. Okay, let me explain one more time. Area of this segment is, this is a sector C, A, and O. This is sector of a circle, right? Its center would be C. So area of this sector, subtract this triangle, you will get the segment area. Okay. I drew it separately, so this would be the segment. So first this is A, this is C, and this is O. Area of this sector ACO, this is R, and this angle is pi by 3. Okay. So area of segment, area of a sector, whole sector area is half radius square and theta is pi by 3, minus area of a triangle is half. The two sides are r into r and sine of pi by 3. Right, area of a triangle is half AB sine C, right? I hope this is clear now. Now we have pi over 6 r square and minus 1 by 2 r square, which is sine pi by 3 in radian, converted into radian, and sine of pi by 3 is root 3 divided by 2. And keep it in mind, your answer should be in terms of pi, r, and root 3. This is pi by 6 r square and minus 1 over 4 root 3 r square. Okay. This would be your segment area. Right now, we need to figure out the shaded area of the major sector minus 2 times area. This is area of one segment. We have done the area of this segment only. There are two segments which are not shaded, right? So we have to multiply it by 2 because these two are symmetrical. Both the triangles are symmetrical, so these four sides are also symmetrical. So keep this in mind. Okay, now we can say the shaded area. First thing is area of the major sector AOP. This is area of the major sector. Let me write this down, which is 2 pi over 3r square minus 2 times area of a segment, which is pi by 6r square minus root 3 over 4r square. Okay. So here 2 pi over 3 r square minus pi over 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 3 would be 6 r square minus root 3 minus plus over 2 times 2 is 4 r square. Okay. All right. So we have 2 pi by 3 and minus pi by 3. So pi r square 3 and 3. So 2 minus 1 is just 1. So pi over 3 r square plus root 3 over 2 r square. So now this area is in pi r and root 3. Now this is the area, shaded area. I hope this is clear now. Question number 7. The sum of first two terms of a geometric progression is 15 and sum to infinity is 125 over 7. The common ratio of the progression is negative. Find the third term of the progression. Sum of first two terms. The first term is a, the second term is ar, its sum is 15. So let me take a common into 1 plus r is 15, and we have given s infinity. So s infinity is a over 1 minus r, which is equals to 125 over 7. So these two information we have given. The first thing we need to solve for, we need to figure out the third term, right? So for third term, we need a and r. So let me solve for the a and the r value. So from equation 1, say this is 1 and this is your 2. We can say the a value is 15 over 1 minus r. Put a value in equation 2. So equation 2 is a is 15 over 1 minus r over 1 minus r, sorry, 1 plus r. This is 125 over 7. So I just plug the a value, which is 15 over 1 plus r, divide 1 minus r, and the rest of the thing is same. So 15 over 1 minus r into 1 plus r would be equals to 125 over 7. Here we do the difference of square formula, which is a square minus b square would be equals to a plus b into a minus b. So a is 1 and b is r. 1 plus r, 1 minus r is 1 plus r square. So 15 is 1 minus r square, sorry. 125 over 7. Okay, now we can do a cross multiplication. 15 is multiplying with 7 and 1 minus r square is multiplying with 125. So 15 times 7 would be 105. 125 times 1 minus 125 times r square. Okay. Now here we have 105 minus 125. This would be minus 125 r square minus 125. This is minus 20 equals to minus 125 r square. Okay, so we can divide both sides. Negative is cancelled with negative. 20 divides 125. This is your r square. 20 divides 125 is 4 over 25. This is your r square. Now taking a square root on both sides. square and the square root is cancelled out. Keep in mind when we do the square roots on both sides, it should be in plus minus. So the R value is plus minus 2 by 5. This is your R value. Given that R is positive, so we have to pick the positive value of R, which is 2 by 5. So we got the value for R. Same, we need to solve for A to find out the third term. When we get the R, just put the R value over here and get the A value. Wait a second. In question, it says the geometric progression is common ratio is negative. Sorry. It's negative. Right. So the R value is minus 2 by 5. Put minus 2 by 5 in A. Right. Now we can say put R is equals to minus 2 by 5 in A. So A would be 15 divides 1 plus R, which is minus 2 by 5. Minus 2 by 5, add 1. 1 minus 2 by 5, and 15 divided by answer is 25. So we got the A value, which is 25. So from here A is 25. Okay, now we have A and we have R. Find out the third term. Third term of geometric progression is T3 is equals to A R square. A is 25. R is minus 2 by 5. Take it square. Okay. So we have 25. Negative square is positive. 2 square is 4 and 5 square is 25. 25 is cancelled with 25. So this is equals to 4. So the third term is 4. That progression. Right. Question number 8. The diagram shows the curves with equations. We have two equations of the curves meeting at points A and B. These two curves meet at point A and B. Part A. By using the substitution u equals to 2x minus 3, find by calculation the coordinates of A and B. Means x and the y both coordinates. Okay. So the coordinates of A and B are basically the points of intersection, of two curves. Right. So this is y equals to something and y equals to something. Put both of them equal. 2x minus 3 whole square plus 1 would be equals to 2 into 2x minus 3 to the power 4. So here we use a supposition that let u is equals to 2x minus 3. So when we suppose this, we can say u square plus 1 would be equals to 2 into u4. So shift the terms on the other, all on the right. So 2u4 minus u square minus 1 would be equals to 0, right? Now we can factorize this. 2 times 1 is 2. So we can say 2 times minus 1 is minus 2. Okay, right. And if you can do minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1, right? So 2u4 minus 2u square plus u square minus 1 would be equals to 0. I break this minus 1 as plus 2 and minus 2 plus 1. So 2 is common, u square is common. We are left with u square minus 1 plus 1 is common, u square minus 1 equals to 0. Factors are u square minus 1 and 2u square plus 1 would be equals to 0. Right, let me simplify. U square minus 1 equals to 0. 2u square plus 1 is equals to 0. Here the u square would be equals to positive 1. Here u square would be equals to negative 1 divided by 2. Right, so shift the 1 on the other side and divide by 2. Now put it back. What is u? U is 2x minus 3. Okay. Okay, now since u is 2x minus 3, let me put the u value over here. 2x minus 3 whole square is equals to 1 and 2x minus 3 whole square is equals to negative 1 over 2. Now to solve for x, we have to take a square root on both sides. 2x minus 3 whole square and the square root would be equals to plus minus square root of 1. And here 2x minus 3 whole square and the square root would be equals to plus minus square root of minus 1 over 2. So negative square root, here you will get a complex roots. So from here we can say no solution, right? You will get solution from this here, right? Okay, so we can say this square and the square root is cancelled out. So we have 2x minus 3 would be equals to plus minus root 1 is just 1. So from here 2x minus 3 is 1 or 2x minus 3 is negative 1. So 2x would be equals to 1 plus 3 and 2x would be equals to 4 and x is equals to 4 divided by 2. 2 times 2 is 4, so x value is 2. Or here 2x would be equals to minus 1 and plus 3. So 2x would be equals to 2. X is equals to 2 divided by 2. 2 times 1 is 2. So the x value is 1. So these are the x coordinate, which is 1 and 2, right? So when we have the x coordinate, just substitute the x coordinate into your first curve or second curve to get the y coordinate, right? So put x coordinates in the curve y is equals to 2 into 2x minus 3 to the power 4. I am putting into second curve. You can also put into the first curve, right? So the first one is when x is 2, what is your y? Y is equals to 2 into 2 times 2 minus 3 to the power 4. 2 times 2 is 4. And from 4 take away 3 is 1. 1 to the power 4 is 1. So this is just 2. The second, when x is 1, what is your y value? Y would be equals to 2 into 2 times 1 minus 3 to the power 4. 2 times 1 is 2 and from 2 take away 3 is negative 1. Negative 1 even power is positive 1, so it's just 2. So the y coordinates are 2. This implies coordinates of A and B are, okay, so the A and B, we need to figure out the coordinates for A and B. So the B coordinates are same, the Y coordinates are 2, the X coordinate are 1 and 2. So means the A X coordinate should be 1. You guys can see the X coordinates are 1 and 2 and the Y coordinates are 2 and 2, right? So the Y coordinate stays the same. The Y coordinate here, the Y is 2. This Y is 2. Here the X coordinate is 1 and here the X coordinate is 2. This is 1 and this is 2. So the coordinates of A are 1, 2. Sorry. A coordinates are 1, 2 and the B coordinates are 2 and 2. So these are the coordinates for A and B, the point of intersection of two curves. Now for part B, find the exact area of the shaded region. Okay, exact area that means it should be in fraction, not in decimal form, right? Okay, this is a shaded region. So area under this curve, subtract area under this curve, right? You will get the shaded area from 1 to 2. The range, the limits are from 1 to 2. Integration of this curve, subtract the integration of this curve. So you can say the exact shaded area is integration from 1 to 2 of the top curve, which is 2x minus 3 whole square plus 1 with respect to dx. Subtract from 1 to 2 integration of the curve 2 into 2x minus 3 to the power 4 with respect to dx. Let me simplify this. Okay. So 2x minus 3, its power is 2 plus 1. The power rule of integration over 2 plus 1, multiply 1 over the derivative of this expression is 2. 1 integration is just x and it is from 1 to 2. Subtract 2 is outside. So this would be 2x minus 3 is 4 plus 1, divides 4 plus 1, multiply 1 over its derivative is 2 and it is 1 to 2. Okay, let me simplify this further. We have 2x minus 3 and its whole power would be 3 over 3 times 2 would be 6 plus x, and the limit should be from 1 to 2. Subtract this and this expression is cancelled out. We have 2x minus 3, this whole power is 5 over 5. The limits are from 1 to 2. Okay, now let me apply limits. So after applying limits, the area becomes, we have the upper limit is 2, 2 into 2 minus 3 whole cube, sorry, divided by 6, its cube, plus 2 is the upper limit. Subtract the lower limit is 1, so we have 2 minus 3 whole cube over 6 plus 1 minus the other expression, the upper limit is 2, so 2 into 2 minus 3, this whole power is 5 divided by 5, and yeah, minus the low limit is 2 minus 3, the whole power is 5 divided by 5. Okay, let me figure out the area. So this is 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 cube is 1. 1 over 6 plus 2. 1 over 6 plus 2 is 13 over 6. Okay. Subtract. This is 2 minus 3 is minus 1. Minus 1 cube is minus 1. So minus 1 over 6 plus 1 is 5 by 6 and with negative sign. So minus 5 over 6. Subtract 2 times 2 is 4. 4 take away 3 is 1. 1 power 5 is 5. 1. So 1 over 5 minus 2 minus 3 is minus 1. Minus 1 odd power is minus 1. Minus 1 over 5 multiplying with minus is plus 1 over 5. So area becomes, from 13 take away 5, 8. 8 out of 6. Subtract 1 plus 1 is 2 out of 5. 8 divided by 6 minus 2 divided by 5, which is 14 over 15. That is the exact area of the shaded region. Question number 9, part A. Express this expression in the form where A and B are constants. Okay, so for this, we need to convert the standard form to vertex form basically, but x coefficient should be 2 over here, right? Let me do the completing square method. 4x square, we can write this down as 2x whole square, and minus 2 into a term is 2x into what makes 12x. 2 times 2 is 4 and 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12, yes, 3. So add 3 square and subtract 3 square and plus 13. Okay. Now this is 2x a square minus 2ab, which is 2 times 2 is 4 and 4 times 3 is 12, and b square is 9. Minus 9 plus 13. Combine this term, which is 2x minus 3 whole square, and from 13 take away 9 is, I guess, 4. Yes, it's 4 plus 4. So this is in the form of 2x plus a whole square and plus b. So a is equals to -3 and the b is equals to 4, which are the constants. All right. The function f is defined by f of x is this function for x is between p and q, where p and q are constants. The function g is defined by g of x is this function for x is less than 8. Part B, given that it is possible to form the composition function gf, find the least possible value of p and the greatest possible value of q. The least possible for p and the greatest possible for q. Okay, so the composition is possible, it is given, right? So in this question, we are not supposed to find the expression for G composition F because it is also given to us that the composition is possible, right? So we know that the composition of G composition F is possible when the domain of G is equals to the range of F. Keep it in mind that the composition of two function is only possible when the domain of outer function is equals to the range of the inner function, right? Okay, so now this is your function f of x and this is your function g of x, right? Or we can say the range of the function f would be equals to the domain of the function g, right? So this is f and this is a domain for f. So what is the range of the function f? The range is basically the output, the y values. So the range of f is 4x square minus 12x plus 13. This is a range of f. And the domain for g. So what is the domain for g? X is less than 8. Less than 8 is the domain for g, right? So now we have to simplify and solve for the x. 4x square minus 12x plus 13 minus 8 is less than 0. So 4x square minus 12x from 13 take away 8 is 5. This is less than 0. 4 times 5 is 20. Now find out the factors for 20. 2 times 10 is 20. And minus 2 minus 10 gives you minus 12. Okay. 4x square minus 2x minus 10x plus 5. This is less than 0. Take 2x common. We are left with 2x minus 1. And take 5 common. Negative 5 common. So we are left with 2x minus 1. This is less than 0. Okay, so factors are 2x minus 1 and 2x minus 5. They are less than 0. Or we can then simplify. You will get 2x minus 1 equals to 0. Or 2x minus 5 is equals to 0. From here, what is the x value? Shift the 1 on the other side plus 1 and divide by 2. X would be 5 on the other side divided by 2. So these are the two values for x, right? Now we got the two x-intercepts, right? And for if we look at this is a quadratic expression. Its leading coefficient is positive. It has a U-shaped graph or a parabola, and its opening is upward. Okay, so let me draw this parabola. The opening of that parabola should be upward. So if I can do this, okay, this is how the parabola look like, right? The parabola for this, it is a parabola. Opening is upward because the leading coefficient is positive, 2 zeros, which is 1 by 2, and we have 5 by 2. So we need to figure out that when this parabola is less than 0, when the outputs are less than 0, it is less than 0, the y values are less than 0 when it is the x values between, you can say this implies the range of f would be equals to the domain of g, or we can say that 4x square minus 12x plus 5 is less than 0 when the x values are between 1 by 2 and 5 by 2. Now here, the range of f equals to the domain of g. So we have this expression. So this expression is less than 0. When this expression is less than 0, it is less than 0 when the x values are between 1 by 2 and 5. So as you guys can see, we have the x is between p and q. So what is expression for p and q? So x is between p is less than x is less than q. So we can say the least value of p is 1 by 2 and the greatest value of q is 5 by 2. So these are the two values for p and q. So here we just use the concept of composition, right? That because we have given that the composition is possible, no need to find the expression, use a concept of composition, the domain and range concept, and you can easily get the value for p and q. The composition of two function is only possible when the range of the inner function is equal to the domain of the outer function. Now for part C, find an expression for g composition f. So g f of x, this would be equals to g. So f of x we have given is 4x square minus 12x plus 13, and g of x is 3x plus 1. So 3 into this x term, 4x square minus 12x plus 13, 3x and plus 1. So g f of x, this is equals to 3 times 4 is 12x squared, 3 times 12, 36 minus 36, 3 times 13, 39 plus 39 plus 1 makes 40. So this is 12x squared minus 36x plus 40. So this is expression for g composition f. Okay. The function h is defined by, we have the function h of x. X should be greater than 0, right? 4x squared minus 12x plus 13, the same, right? Part D, find an expression for h inverse of x. As you can see, this h of x is exactly the same as f of this expression, 4x squared minus 12x plus 13, and we can write this in this form, right? 2x minus 3 whole square plus 4, right? So we can see h of x can be written as 2x minus 3 whole square and plus 4, right? Now we need to find out its h inverse. So y would be equals to h of x, right? X is equals to 2y minus 3 whole square plus 4. Solving for y, so x minus 4 would be equals to 2y minus 3 whole square. In order to get rid of this square, taking a square root on both sides, so we have plus minus square root of this expression and square root of this expression. It is cancelled out. So from here we have plus minus root of x minus 4. This is equals to 2y minus 3. Okay. Or we can say 3 plus minus root x minus 4 is equals to 2y. I just shifted the 3 on the other side, becomes positive 3. Or we can say the y would be equals to 3 by 2 plus minus 1 over 2 and root of x minus 4, right? Now we can take positive or negative. All right, so now we have to decide at whether the sign is positive or negative. So look at the domain. So as we know that the domain of h of x is equals to the range of h inverse of x. The domain of h would be equals to the range of h inverse. So the domain of the function h of x is less than 0, right? That would be the range of f inverse. So we can say the range of h inverse of x means it should be less than 0 when we have less than 0. So if you put 3 by 2 plus something, is it less than 0? Or 3 by 2 minus something is less than 0? 3 by 2 minus something gives you less than 0. So here we can say h inverse of x would be and 3 by 2 is 1.5. In 1.5, when you subtract something, that answer should be less than 0. Minus 1 by 2 root of x minus 4. This is the expression for h inverse of x. Because the domain of f of x is equals to the range of f inverse of x. Now the range should be less than 0. So these values are less than 0. Question number 10. A curve has a stationary point 2 and minus 10, and it is such that its second derivative is 6x. Part A, find the first derivative. Okay. So d2y over dx square we have given, which is 6x. So integration on both sides with respect to dx, it reduced the integral to first derivative, and we have 6x integration is x square divided by 2 plus some constant of integration, right? So 2 times 3 would be 6. So to get the constant of integration, this is 3x square plus c. Use the condition that we have a stationary point. So for the stationary point, we know that for stationary point, your first derivative dy over dx is equals to 0, and you get the x value, which is equals to 2. So when x is 2, dy by dx should be equals to 0. So plug this condition. So dy by dx is equals to 0, 3, 2 square and plus c. So this would be equals to 3, 2 square would be 4, 4 plus c, with this would be equals to 12, 12 plus c. So c value is equals to negative 12 is the c value, right? So the first derivative dy over dx, this becomes 3x square minus 12. This is the first derivative of the curve. All right. Now for part B, find the equation of the curve. Since we have the first derivative, just find out the equation. So dy over dx, this is equals to 3x square minus 12. Integrate both sides with respect to dx. Okay. Dx is cancelled with the dx. Derivative is with integral y. We are left with 3x to the power 3 over 3 minus 12x plus some constant of integration. 3 is cancelled with 3. So the equation of curve would be x cube minus 12x plus some constant of integration. To get the constant of integration, as we know that this is a stationary point. Stationary point is basically the turning point of the curve. So turning point must lies on the curve, right? So use this point that 2 minus 10 lies on the curve. So it must satisfy the curve. Alright, so when it satisfied the curve, the y is minus 10, the x value is 2, so 2 cube minus 12 into 2 plus c. Minus 10, 2 cube is 8, minus 24 plus c. 2 times 12 is 24, right? Okay, now from 8, take away 24 is negative 16. Minus 10 is minus 16 plus c. Minus 10 plus 16 would be equals to c. From 10, 16 take away 10 is just 6. So 6 is your c value. When we got the c value, you will easily get the equation of the curve, which is y would be equals to x cube minus 12x plus 6. That is the equation of curve. Now for part C, find the coordinates of other stationary point and determine its nature. So in the question, we have given the coordinates of one stationary point. A curve has a stationary point. So for the stationary point, we have to put first derivative equals to 0, as we have done with the first derivative in part A. Let me put it 0 and solve for the stationary points, right? So for stationary points, we need to put the first derivative dy over dx is equals to 0, and we have done dy by dx, which is 3x square minus 12 equals to 0. Taking 4 common, we are left 3 common, sorry. X square minus 4 is equals to 0. From here 3 is not equals to 0. X square minus 4 is equals to 0. So we can write down x square minus 4 as x plus 2 and x minus 2. Difference of square formula we can apply over here. We can say a square minus b square would be equals to a plus b, and a minus b. So what is a? A is your x and b is your 2, right? So this implies your x plus 2 would be equals to 0 and x minus 2 is equals to 0. So from here the x coordinate is negative 2 and x coordinate is positive 2. So what we have given? We have given the stationary point where x coordinate is 2. So this stationary point is already given to us. We need to find just that stationary point. So when we got the x coordinate, just substitute the x value into the equation of curve to get the y coordinate. Here we can say put x is equals to negative 2 in equation of curve. Okay, so let me substitute it into the equation of curve, which is y equals to x cube minus 12 into x, which is minus 2 plus 6. So y would be equals to negative of 8 and plus 2 times 12 is 24 and plus 6. Okay, so 6 plus 24 and minus 8 becomes 22. So y coordinate is 22. X is negative 2 and the y coordinate is 22. We need to find the coordinates of other stationary point and its nature as well, right? So we can say coordinates of other stationary point when x is negative 2, the y value is 22. These are the coordinates of other stationary point, right? And we need to determine its nature. So what we do for the nature? For nature, we have to substitute the stationary point into the second derivative. As we have given the second derivative in the question, that which is 6x. For nature, let me write this down. d2y over dx square is equals to 6x. Now we can do what is d2y over dx square at x is equals to negative 2. So 6 times minus 2 minus 12, this is less than 0. So when the second derivative is less than 0 on the given stationary point, we can say that the stationary point is maximum. Its nature is maximum. When the second derivative is negative, the nature is maximum. When the second derivative is positive, the nature is minimum. So this is the stationary point and that is the nature. Now for part D, find the equation of tangent to the curve at a point where the curve crosses y-axis. Okay, so when curve crosses y-axis, it means its x component should be equals to 0. Okay, now in the equation of curve, just substitute x equals to 0. So we have equation of curve. We found the equation of curve in part B. Okay, here is the equation of curve. Just substitute x equals to 0 over here. Let me, let me write it down. Y equals to x cube minus 12x plus 6, right? Now just substitute x is equals to 0. So y would be equals to 0 minus 0 plus 6. So here the y would be equals to 6. So keep in mind, for an equation of tangent, we need the gradient of tangent and we need the point. So now the point, we have the point x naught and y naught. So that point x naught, y naught, when x is equals to 0, the y value is 6. And for equation of tangent, we need the gradient of the curve. And we have the gradient of the curve. You can see this is the gradient of the curve, right? So for the gradient of the curve, gradient of curve is dy over dx, which is equals to 3x square minus 12, right? So what is dy by dx at x is equals to 0 at this point, right? So this is negative 12. Now just write down the equation of tangent. Equation of tangent, y minus y naught is equals to m into x minus x naught. X naught and y naught is this point 0, 6. M is the gradient, which is negative 12. Just substitute and you will get the equation of tangent. So y minus 6 is equals to m is minus 12 into x minus 0. So y would be equals to minus 12x, and shift the 6 on the other side, plus 6. This would be the equation of tangent. Question number 11. The diagram shows the circle with equation. This is the equation of the circle. We have the radius root 40 and the center is 4 minus 1. Parallel tangents, each with gradient 1, touches the circle at points A and B. So this is a tangent to the circle. This line is tangent to the circle at point A, at point B, and they are parallel and they have the gradient of 1. Part A, find the equation of line AB and give your answer in the form of y equals to mx plus c. So equation of line AB. All right. So as we know that this is tangent to the circle, right? This line is tangent to the circle at B. This line is tangent to the circle at A. So what is the gradient of tangent? We know that tangent is perpendicular to the radius of a circle, right? And the gradient of tangent and the gradient of radius are perpendicular to each other, negative reciprocal of each other. Let's say this is the center of a circle. Center of a circle, x is 4 and the y is negative 1, right? 4 and negative 1, this is the center of a circle, right? So as we know that the tangent line is perpendicular to the radius of a circle. This is a radius of a circle, right? And this tangent is also perpendicular to the radius of a circle. Okay. Now we need to find the equation of line AB. All right. Now this line AB has a gradient negative 1 because the gradient of this tangent is 1. So this gradient is negative 1. This is 1, this gradient is negative 1 because they are perpendicular, right? For equation of line, we need the gradient and we need the point, and the line AB passes through the center of a circle. How do we know that it passes through the center of a circle? Because we know that the tangent is perpendicular to the radius of a circle. That is why. Okay, so we can say that the gradient of line AB is negative 1 because tangent line is perpendicular to the radius of a circle. I hope the gradient concept is clear, that this tangent is perpendicular to the radius. From C to A is the radius of a circle, right? And this tangent is perpendicular to the radius of a circle. C to B is the radius of a circle. So if this gradient is 1, then this gradient is minus 1. This gradient is 1, this is negative 1 because they are perpendicular to each other. Now the second thing is, for equation of line, we need the gradient and we need the point. We don't know the coordinates of A and the coordinates of B. So we use the point C, center of a circle, because the tangent and the radius are perpendicular to each other. That is why it passes through the center. Okay. Now the next concept I'm gonna use is equation of line AB passes through the center of a circle. I have received one of the comment that the student asked me that how do we know that it passes through the center of a circle? Yeah, that's a good question. That how we are sure that this line must pass through the center of a circle, right? So we have to use this concept that tangent is perpendicular to the radius. This tangent is perpendicular to the radius, and when we join both of them, it passes through the center. Here it is 4 and here it is negative 1. That is why. So equation of tangent passes through the center of a circle because tangent is perpendicular to the radius of a circle. Okay, now let me write down the equation of tangent. Equation of line AB. So equation of a line AB, y minus y naught is equals to m into x minus x naught. Okay, so we need the point x naught and y naught. So the point x naught and y naught is the center, which is 4 and minus 1, and the gradient is negative 1. So y minus minus 1 is equals to negative 1 into x minus 4. Y plus 1 is equals to minus x plus 4. Y would be equals to minus x plus 4 minus 1. Shift the 1 on the other side. Y would be equals to minus x plus 3. Now this is in the form of y equals to mx plus c, right? That is the line equation of line AB. Now you guys can see its slope is negative 1 and its y-intercept is positive 3. You can see positive 3 is the y-intercept. Now for part B, find the coordinates of A, the x and the y coordinate, giving each coordinate in stirred form. Okay, the x and the y should be in stirred form. As we know the equation of a circle, and now we know the equation of line AB. So the line AB touches the circle at point A and at point B. We just need to figure out the point A. So keep in mind the x coordinate of A should be negative and y coordinate should be positive, right? Okay, so we need to find the point of intersection of line AB and equation of circle. Okay, so the equation of circle is x minus 4 whole square plus y plus 1 whole square. You can see x minus 4 and y plus 1. So just substitute the y value with a minus x plus 3. So the y value is minus x plus 3 and plus 1 whole square equals to 40. This is x minus 4 whole square, and this is 4 plus 4 minus x whole square equals to 40. Open the square. X square minus 2 times 4 is 8, x plus 4 square is 16, plus 4 square is 16, minus 2 times 4 is 8x, and plus we have x square, right? This is equals to 40. Now we have x square and x square, 2 times of x square, minus 8x is minus 16x, and 16 plus 16, this could be 32, plus 32, and shift the 40 equals to 0. 2x square minus 16x, from 32 take away 40 is just 8, minus 8 is equals to 0. Now throughout the equation we can divide it by 2. All the terms are divisible by 2 on both sides. Yes. So here we can say x square, 2 times 8 is 16, 2 times 4 is 8, and we have 0. Okay. Now we can say, let me apply a quadratic formula because we need in stirred form. So it is better to apply the quadratic formula. X would be equals to minus b plus minus square root b square minus 4ac divides 2a. Now a is a coefficient of x square, which is 1, b is a coefficient of x, which is negative 8, and c is a constant term, which is negative 4. Just substitute everything into the formula and solve for x. Minus 8 is the b value, plus minus square root b is minus 8 square, minus 4 times a times the c divides 2 times of a. Okay. Now x is equals to 8, plus minus square root 8 square is 64, and plus 4 times 4 is 16, divides 2 times 1 is 2. X would be equals to 8 plus minus square root, what is 64 plus 16? 80. 80 divided by 2. What is root 80? 4 root 5. Now we can write root 80 as 4 root 5. The x coordinate is 8 plus minus 4 root 5 divided by 2. Okay. So let me take 4 common. So from the numerator, 4 times 2 is 8 plus minus root 5 divided by 2. Okay. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, right? Further simplification, we have x would be equals to 2 times 2, 4, plus minus 2 root 5. So 2 root 5 is basically root 20. We can say root 20 is 2 root 5, right? So root of 20 is 2 square root of 5. We can write down 2 square root of 5 as root 20. So x is 4 plus minus root 20. This is your x coordinate. Okay, in start form, right? Now we need to find the y coordinate. So to get the y coordinate, just substitute the x coordinate into the equation of line AB. So we can say put x in equation of line AB. So equation of line AB is y equals to minus x plus 3. That is the equation of line AB which we found in part A. So y would be equals to negative of x. Wait a second. Okay, now we need to figure out the x coordinate for A, not for B, sorry. So keep it in mind that the x coordinate for A should be negative and the x coordinate of B is positive, right? So if we have 4 plus root 20, this will gives you the positive answer, and 4 minus root 20, this will gives you a negative answer. So 4 minus root 20. 4 minus root 20 is the x coordinate and negative positive 3, sorry. Now y would be equals to minus 4 plus root 20 and plus 3. So y coordinate is negative 1 plus root 20. This is the y coordinate, right? So at the end we can say the coordinates of A are the x and the y coordinate. X coordinate is 4 minus root 20 and the y coordinate is minus 1 plus root 20. These are the coordinates for point A in stud form. Right. Now for part C, find the equation of tangent at A, giving your answer in the form of y equals to mx plus c, where c is in stud form. Okay, in this form, the equation of tangent at A. Now we have the coordinates of A, right? So for equation of tangent at point A, we need the coordinates and we need the gradient. Okay, so for coordinates of A, let me write it down. We have 4 minus root 20 and minus 1 plus root 20, and we know we need to find the gradient of tangent at A. So gradient of tangent at A we have given, which is 1 in the question. It is given to us that the gradient of tangent is 1. Okay, so let me find the equation of tangent is equation of tangent becomes y minus y naught is equals to m into x minus x naught. Alright. Now y minus y naught is minus 1 plus root 20 is equals to m value is 1 into x minus x naught is 4 minus root 20. So y minus minus plus 1 and minus root 20, this would be equals to x minus 4 plus root 20. So y would be equals to x minus 4 plus root 20 minus 1 plus root 20. Okay, so y would be equals to x minus 5 plus 2 times root of 20. This is the equation of tangent at point A. Y equals to mx plus c, m is 1 and this is your c. The c is in stud form minus 5 plus 2 root 20. All right, that was the last question of our paper. If you have any queries, please let me know in the comment section and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Take care.